Well, cats are beloved members of the human household, but how much do we really know about them? We think we know a lot.
Yeah, it's time for a little cat myth busting, from maybe hating water to landing on their feet. What's true and what's false about cats? Joining us now is Dr. Eric Ruhland from St. Paul Pet Hospital. Nice to have you here.
Good morning, guys.
You brought a dog.
And
You didn't get the message?
Yes, I
Does Butter
know.
like kitty cats?
She is impartial. She doesn't. My other rescue dog, Leia, which actually she's never been on camera before. She doesn't particularly like cats. So it's weird. We don't have a cat in our house right now. So
I grew up with tons of them.
Yeah.
Lots of cats. I've had cats. I don't currently have a cat, but I find them entertaining.
I had lots of cats growing up on our farm, and of course my mom would have to be. And Mom, if you're watching, she'd always have to let me bring in litters of cats in from the barn. That was our normal thing, and drove her crazy. But yeah. But yeah, cats are really different. You know, they're not a domesticated species. We could let out any of your cats outside and they would be just fine, and they would hunt and do their own thing. They're not domesticated. We have a wild animal living in our midst of our house. So
yeah, we know they catch mice, thankfully. Now, when we think of cats, we think of purring. And to me, that generally means that they're happy. But is that always the case?
Almost. It's not really correlated necessarily with their how acute they are to interacting with their environment, or if they're happy or if they're sad. It doesn't. I've seen cats that will purr almost right up until they want to lash out at your face. So that's not really true if they're purring. I had a cat that was waking up from anesthesia the other day that was purring just happily as a clam, which I thought was a good thing. But no, there's really not a heavy correlation between whether they're happy and whether they're purring. So
what is the purring?
Purring is just a reverberation off the inside of their larynx and their deeper part of their throat. So
Well, this is disappointing.
yeah.
Because I always thought when they were purring, they really liked me. He really likes me. Okay.
That can
So
be confusing.
they are very mysterious animals, you're right, and they're also different. One thing we hear, nocturnal. You see them at night a lot around. Is that true?
Just because they're knocking things off your shelf in the kitchen and everything doesn't necessarily mean that they're nocturnal. I would actually classify them, like a lot of apex and top level predators, corpuscular, which is a interesting new word I will throw at everybody for today. Corpuscular means you're active at sundown and sunrise. Like deer are corpuscular.
Oh.
Lots of fish are corpuscular. A lot of animals are actually quite corpuscular, not true nocturnal. I think of true nocturnal animals like bats and skunks and some animals that you never see during the day really ever. Cats aren't really like that. They're corpuscular. So
Okay, corpuscular.
give you that.
I'm gonna try to use that word
Use
in the
that-
sentence this week.
This week, right?
All right, cats land on their feet. Would you say that's true or false?
Always, always. Cats are amazingly good at falling from distances. One of my friends who works in New York at an emergency hospital there, they have a chart for the farthest falls that cats can fall from, and they come in completely asymptomatic. And owners will bring them in, and a cat will fall 250 feet.
Oh my gosh.
And they'll be totally fine. There's a weird distance, so they're just like squirrels in that they use centrifugal force and they try to center it around their spine and they can spin in place. It's really interesting. There's a weird zone. If a cat falls from 20 feet, 30 feet or less, they're usually going to be totally fine. If they fall from like 30 to 50 feet, that's kind of a danger zone. They haven't reached terminal velocity yet. But when they fall from higher than that, there's actually a higher likelihood that they'll survive.
Wow,
That is fascinating.
It's amazing and fascinating. I see it in our hospitals since I opened the practices in St. Paul, and we have high rises and more high rises there. We see cats come in every couple weeks, falls from 30 feet, from 40 feet. And they come walking in, purring, doing their thing. They're like, hey, I'm fine, I'm cool. Like, this is normal. And it's amazing. It is truly fascinating because the way their skeletal system is designed, and when they puff themselves up and they hit that terminal velocity, they can only go so fast. And they actually will start to slow down, which is crazy. So anyways,
Wow,
I'm
okay.
not advising anybody open their patio doors or anything.
Don't
Please.
test it,
Please
but
don't.
no.
But
Good to know.
But it is amazing. It is fascinating. So.
Okay. The next one, cats hate water. I think that's the cartoon thing we always
Yeah.
see.
Well, cats typically in the wild, the way they evolved eating, when you think about they evolved eating lots of small mice and insects and rodents, and those are 90% water. So we're giving our cats a lot of dry food. So we're anticipating them to act like a dog, which that's not true, but cats actually love water. And it's one of the main reasons I think we see as much chronic renal and kidney problems in our older cats is we have this stigma about thinking, well, they'll eat a bowl of stagnant water or drink a bowl of stagnant water, excuse me. I think a lot of times if we can get water that's either chilled or running, cats enjoy drinking running water. They don't like water that's stagnant and sitting still. They really do not like that. And sometimes you have to switch flavors up on them. Sometimes you'll have to switch to like a bottled water, or you'll have to find some type of purified water that a cat will really like, because a lot of city waters just don't smell good. Because imagine if you can taste it or smell that you don't really like a water, your cat is 1,000 times more sensitive to that. So be aware of that. And I think especially if you're feeding a dry only food, make sure you get a bubbler, or some people just let the faucet run in the sink. I'm not a huge proponent of wasting that much water, but they make little bubblers for like $30 and they're really cheap, and cats go crazy for them.
Yes.
So yeah.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
My cat Stanley would sit there and bat the water around. It was coming out of the, dripping out of the sink. Loved it, absolutely loved it.
Big cats actually love, obviously not our small cats, but big cats love, they love swimming, and they love hanging out in water, so.
Okay, here's one more. Cats are unfriendly. Some people feel, cats have a bad rap.
Yeah.
And are they an animal that can't be, affectionate?
They definitely.
I don't see that, but
they all have their own. You got to remember, this is still a wild animal that we have attempted to domesticate and bring into our house. They all have their own personalities, and there's a range of different behaviors. I think we always put the behaviors of a cat. We put it like in the dog brain, like we think of it as a small dog. And I have to tell my clients that every week. I have to tell somebody they're acting like the cat is a small dog, and that's just not true. So are they equally as affectionate? Yes, but they're on their own time. They will take their affectionate, when you give it to them. It's not on your terms. It will be on theirs. So they definitely, absolutely can be. And again, I think a lot of times you're looking at a cat, their ears are upright and perky and everything, and they're and that sometimes is actually, they're alert. But when a cat lays its ears back, obviously that's an aggressive posture, right? When a dog approaches you with their ears down and they're like, hey, there's a miscue in in your head, mentally. So anyways, yes, they are quite affectionate. But
they are hard to read.
Yes.
They don't wear their feelings on their shoulder.
They do not.
Their furry shoulders.
Right. Dr. Eric, exactly. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, as
Happy
always.
Valentine's Day, you guys.
Same to you. And you can head to stpaulpet.com. You want to learn more about him. Maybe get some more time with butter.
And butter.
And butter.
Oh, have a happy week, honey.
Yeah.